I tell you what, I'll do one more Q&A video to knock out the last of these questions. Alright? Let's see. Alright, let's put 25 minutes on the clock. And I'm going to do one more, and we're going to knock out the rest of these questions. Cool? Alright. One more, and we're going to do this. Alright? Because I'm like, I got a lot more. So this is it. Alright. Okay. Alright. Okay, so addressing the whole novel publishing houses that are legit for people interested in publishing a book, what I would recommend is Googling them, because usually the ones that come up on the top page are, number one, they're the biggest, they're the most popular, and they have info that will, if you like, what I'm saying is, if you aren't, they have the type of information where if you aren't feeling that publisher, they have the info that will possibly point you in the direction of the publisher that you're looking for. So I would just say go ahead and Google them, maybe even Wikipedia some, to see which ones are the most popular or which ones you might have heard of before. I would also recommend looking at some of your favorite books and seeing what they're published under, and then start to search from there. Okay, do you favor any couples in the comic book world? Do you think that in many venues, character development occurs within a relationship as opposed to fleshing out characters individually first? Lastly, do you think it's necessary for a protagonist to have a love interest? Okay, couples in comics that I favor: Lois and Clark. Bruce and Talia. Green Arrow and Black Canary. That's actually probably my favorite comic book couple. It's probably Green Arrow and Black Canary. Peter Parker and Mary Jane. There was another Marvel one that I was... Oh! Gambit and Rogue. Trying to think of any others off the top of my head. I like Daredevil and Elektra, but that was so short-lived which I mean, I know they've done stories with them since the original story. I'm talking about the original story when Elektra was first introduced. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. And then let's see. Okay, as far as the whole character development within the relationship or within individually, let me put it to you like this. I don't have anything against either technique. The problem though with the relationship bit is that a lot of writers cannot effectively develop both characters within the confines of the relationship. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, I don't have anything against developing the characters within a relationship. You see what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is that there aren't a lot of good, it doesn't happen well often enough. You see what I'm saying? It's real hit or miss. It's like when it's done well, it's done really well. When it's done bad, it's done really bad. So, and I absolutely, positively do not think that it is necessary for a protagonist to have a love interest. I am hugely against forcing protagonists to have love interests. Most of the protagonists that all of the protagonists that I, for the most part, that I write, with the exception of one. I lie, I take that back. There was one character that I refused to give a love interest to, that everyone said I should give a love interest to, and I said, fuck it, no, I'm not doing it. But with the exception of that one character, all my other characters, they do have love interests, but what I'm saying is, more often than not, like, the main character in the novel I'm writing, I did not develop that character's love interest until the third book. The third book. So I absolutely do not think it's necessary. Let me put it to you like this. If it doesn't serve a point in the story, don't fucking do it. Just don't do it. Okay, let's see. Okay. Hey Larry, what is your favorite type of character in anime? You mentioned in your anime favorites with Inuyasha that you like the mysterious, strong, big brother type. I would just like to know what your ultimate favorite kind of character is. That would probably be my favorite. I mean, I like the older sibling characters, you know. So when you're talking about like the big three, for an example, when you're talking about characters like Itachi, when you talk about characters like Ace, when you're talking about characters like Byakuya, those characters I immediately gravitate to because there's something mysterious about them. But also, like I said, I'm an older brother, so that's a character that just because they have a younger sibling, I can relate to. Also, more often than not, those characters have this demeanor about them where, well, actually, more often than not, those characters are always written as very strong, powerful characters. Almost always. To the point where it's actually a cliche at this point. They're always written as like very powerful characters. But because of that, and because of the fact that they're older siblings, it gives an arrogance to them that I actually like find appealing. So you're talking about characters like Shishomaru, you're talking about characters like, well, Raditz, until we found out how weak Raditz really was. You're talking about characters like Seto Kaiba, you're talking about characters like hell, I would even throw Edward Elric in there too, because Edward had an arrogance about him at the beginning of the story until the accident happened. I can't think of any others off the top of my head, but yeah, that's probably my favorite type of anime character. Let's see, what console do you have? What are your favorite types of games? I've answered that already. Yeah. Okay, I've answered this question already, except the console thing. I own a PS2 and an Xbox. Ooh, excuse me. I own a PS2 and an Xbox 360. I have owned in my history an original NES, a Game Boy Color, a Nintendo 64, a PlayStation, the original big box PS2, and then of course the one I have now is the Slim. I've owned, what, this is my 6th 360? Yeah, I know, right? I've owned 6 360s, and I've owned a PS3. Yeah. Okay, so okay, alright. Kid Cassidy 100. Hey Larry, I want to be a cartoonist. I made up a manga and I have the characters and the story, but I'm still making edits. I'm a senior in high school. I plan on looking for an agent, excuse me, and some other artists to help me next year. And since you're making a comic, when do you think is a possible year I can get it published? And I want it to become an anime on TV. When do you think that can happen? Okay, Kid Cassidy 100, if you're watching this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to level with you. And I'm going to go ahead and turn down my music because I want to make something apparent to a lot of creators out there, okay? Because I once had the same mindset where I wanted to make manga, and then I wanted that manga to end up as an anime on television. And I know a lot, since I started up the OAW YouTube channel, a lot of people have messaged me and talked with me about that. This is the truth. there is a very small, a very, 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 very small chance that will actually happen. I don't mean this. I don't mean to say this to put you down in any way. I'm telling you because I've researched this and because I know what the odds are like that. This is the problem. Number one, if you're an American, it's hard to make manga. Number one. The reason for that being is because there are so few American manga publishers, and most of the major American comic book publishers don't want manga. So immediately there, you're limiting yourself with manga. I'm not saying you can't use a manga art style, but I'm saying is this. The manga art style is so stylized that it's very difficult to get out of that. You see what I'm saying? Also, as far as it being made into an anime, that is almost damn near impossible because the way in which anime gets made from manga. Now, one thing I need to address that I think I hate to say this because like I say, I'm not trying to tear anybody down, but I know a lot of kids, especially if you're still in high school, because you don't know this yet. A lot of people get the idea that they can just go to Japan and become a mangaka and be successful at it. No, you can't. You can't. It is damn near impossible. It is damn near impossible. And God forbid, if you're a minority and you try to do that, like if you're an African American, Mexican American, something like that, and you try going to Japan to do that, hugely difficult. Number one, because of your race. Number two, because of your nationality. It is hugely difficult. To put this in a manner in which you all can understand what I'm saying. To make it as a successful mangaka in Japan is the same thing as being an Academy Award nominated actor in America. It is hugely fucking difficult. Hugely fucking difficult. My best advice I can give you, Kid Cassidy 100, as well as other other creators who live stateside. Put your energy and efforts into the American comic book industry. The reason for that being is this. The Japanese manga industry is doing alright. It's doing okay for itself. I can't say that about the American manga industry. The American manga industry is dying. It's dying. Whether or not you all want to acknowledge that, I'm telling you to your face right here and now. It's dying. If you do not believe me, look the shit up for yourself. Research it. You can just Google it. It's dying. It's dying out. Not only that, the comic book industry in America has been dying out for a very long time. It's slowly been bleeding out, okay? In the 90s, Marvel had to file for Chapter 13 bankruptcy. A couple of years ago, it got bought out by Disney. The fucking comic book industry in America is dying out. What it desperately needs is for young, talented, imaginative creators like yourself to get involved. Worry about what's going on the home front. And as far as all the foreign shit, like I said, I'm not saying this to tear anybody down. I'm just telling you to be realistic. You aren't needed over there. In Japan, making manga, making anime, you aren't needed, and more often than not, they don't want you. But you're needed stateside. You are needed stateside. You're needed here at home. That's all I'm going to say about that. Thank you for the question. I am a writer. I've already finished my first script. I was wondering, where do I start to either publish a book or a comic? Which would be the best route for me? Oh, and that's coming from Black Krillin. Black Krillin, the best route for you as far as publishing a book or a comic. First off, you got to decide what you want to do. Do you want to publish a book? Do you want to publish a comic? Or do you want to do both? And if you want to do both, like I've stated previously, you got to research publishers. You got to look publishers up and you got to research them. You got to find out what they're about and you got to fill them out to find the one that best serves your purposes for what you want to do. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not talking about. Okay, I got a couple of questions from Armenian Productions. Do you play any instruments? No. I used to be pretty damn badass on a fucking harmonica though, man. I used to beast that shit when I was little. If you could not be a comic book writer, artist, anything in the entertainment industry, what profession would you want to be in? I would probably be, if I couldn't do anything in the entertainment industry, I would probably be a martial arts instructor. I'd probably do that. Because I have a huge interest in martial arts, and I think that teaching that to children and young people that's a huge that's a really big deal for me. Because like I said, I remember the names of all of my martial arts instructors when I took Taekwondo. So you know, those guys made a difference for me when I was little. What song do you listen to when you're down and out and really need something uplifting? I'm glad you asked me that. My most favorite like motivation song from recent is Cinderella Man by Eminem. I fucking love that song. I love that song. I love what it means. I love the lyrics behind it. And my favorite lyrics from that song is fuck catching lightning, he struck it, screamed shut up at thunder, flipped the world upside down and made it rain upwards. Cinderella Man. And pretty much what that means is, what Eminem is talking about is, he's talking about something impossible. You know, striking lightning, screaming shut up at thunder, flipping the world upside down so it could rain upward. He's talking about the impossible. And in the context of the song, what he's talking about is, he's talking about somebody who has been able to achieve the impossible. Cause it's like, fuck catching lightning, he struck it, screamed shut up at thunder, flipped the world upside down and made it rain over. Cinderella Man, Cinderella Man, Cinderella Man. Rewind the future to the present, boy don't ask how, fuck the past motherfucker, he's the shit right now. He's Cinderella Man. Yeah, that's my fucking motivational song right now. That and The Show Goes On by Lupe Fiasco. Those like every morning, those are the two songs I start my day off with. I'm sorry, they got some really silly questions. Oh, this one's coming from a man, Jacob. Hey Larry, here's a question for you. Since you're concentrating in college is painting, will you ever do really awesome looking high quality paintings of your original characters or of particularly memorable / dramatic scenes from your original stories? Maybe. I will say this. I will say, I'm talking to my audience, but I'm also talking to Jacob in particular, specifically because Jacob is actually the colorist on my comic book. He's part of my creative team, and Jacob, I tell you like this, bruh. If we have to self-publish for this comic, and you know we set up our website and all that jazz, I would definitely do some like original paintings of the characters and whatnot, because that's stuff that we could sell on the site, and that's memorabilia for the comic that I think people would dig, especially people who like the comic. I think they'll be interested in that. So keep an eye out. I might do that. Okay. This one's coming from Aviator444, and he asked, from all the ongoing television series you've watched as an adult, which one is the best you've seen in terms of story, characters, and quality? That is a tough one. I'm going to put it to you like this. From all the ongoing television series you've watched as an adult. Okay, so you're talking about series that haven't finished, right? Because if you're talking about television series I've watched as an adult that are good in terms of story, characters, and quality, the first one that comes to mind is The Sopranos. The Sopranos is an absolutely amazing fucking television series. But it's ended. The Sopranos is finished. So if you're talking about shows that are going on right now, I would probably have to say Sons of Anarchy. Because, and that's not to say anything about, you know, against Game of Thrones, because I know my Game of Thrones fans are going to lose their shit, but these are the facts. Game of Thrones is in the middle of its second season. Sons of Anarchy has 4 completed seasons. You see what I'm saying? I have more material from Sons of Anarchy than I do from Game of Thrones. So that's why right now I would have to say Sons of Anarchy. And I'm heavily into music and listen to a new CD almost every day or two. Who are your favorite bands / singers? Favorite bands? Creed, Oates Bridge, Nickelback, Disturbed, Shinedown, Linkin Park before what is that shit called? Before, what is it, Minutes to Midnight or whatever? Before that, old Linkin Park. Stained, Godsmack, Hailstorm, who I just got into. Hailstorm, I fucking love Hailstorm. God, I love Hailstorm. Breaking Benjamin, Matchbox 20, Finger 11, so many fucking bands, too many to mention. Just going off my MP3 player. Let's see what we got on my. Let's see what I'm listening to right now on my MP3 player. Like I said, Oates Bridge, Blue October, Celtic Woman, Creed, Disturbed, Eminem, Evanescence, Five Finger Death Punch, Godsmack, James Blunt, Korn, Lil Wayne, Linkin Park, Lupe Fiasco, Maroon 5, Nickelback, and my rock collection: Breaking Benjamin, Deftones, Fuel, Nirvana, Papa Roach, Puddle of Mud, Rage Against the Machine, Rammstein, or Rammstein, however you pronounce that, Smashing Pumpkins, I mentioned Stained already, System of a Down, 3 Days Grace, I actually got 3 Days Grace discography. I mentioned Shinedown, Skillet, just mentioned 3 Days Grace, Within Temptation, I fucking love Within Temptation, Egypt Central, Perfect Circle, Blue Oyster Cult. I got a lot of like random Dragon Force, Fall Out Boy. I mentioned Finger 11, Fort Minor, Hollywood Undead, Scrappy, MIA, Michael Jackson, Mims, Motorhead, Nas, Nelly, Paramore, Saliva, The Cure, Tool, Tupac, Wicked Wisdom, a lot of people. I got a lot of people in. It's a lot. I listen to a lot of music. That's not even, I didn't even mention the country, the J-pop, the old school R&B. I didn't even mention those. That was just mostly rock that I mentioned. I didn't even mention those. Got a lot of shit on there. Okay. Let's see. Okay, this one comes from the Last Resort host, and he asked, you said you don't like to consider yourself part of certain communities within YouTube. Do you consider yourself a part of, what do you consider yourself a part of in regards to YouTube, and how big of a part do you feel you've played in enhancing that community? I'll tell you this, the community that I feel I'm the biggest part of is the OAW community. OAW is a community in itself, and I'm the commander-in-chief, one of the founders, and yeah, that's the community that I stick to, is the OAW community. I'm also one of the 5 founders of Rogues Gallery Incorporated, if you all haven't checked out that collab channel. So that's the other community I'm a part of, is the Rogues Gallery community. And I'm almost done. I think I got like maybe a few more questions, but I'm almost done. The end is in sight. It's in sight. Okay. Let's see. Because I know some people ask questions in this. Okay, here go one. Larry, what's your favorite all-time TV show? Something old and retro or the new era with Game of Thrones? Also, what is your favorite film? I've already answered the favorite film. Okay, my all-time favorite TV show, believe it or not, is Boy Meets World. I've seen every episode of Boy Meets World probably somewhere between 25 or 50 times. I absolutely love Boy Meets World. That show got me through middle school. I love Boy Meets World. I absolutely love it. Actually, I just fucking missed Boy Meets World because it just went off at 3 o'clock. God damn it. But yeah, I love Boy Meets World. That's my all-time favorite TV show. Other favorite TV shows, like I've mentioned before in the past, would include Smallville, Gilmore Girls, Sopranos, of course, Sons of Anarchy, Game of Thrones, Shameless. I just got into Shameless on Showtime. I fucking love that show. House of Lies, also fucking hilarious. I'm a huge fan of Sons of Guns on the Discovery Channel. I became a fan of Mythbusters on Discovery Channel. Ultimate Fighter, I've always liked. What are some other shows? Storage Wars on A&E. Dog the Bounty Hunter on A&E. Billy the Exterminator on A&E. Love those shows. See, because I watch a lot of cable shows. I don't watch too much like basic network television anymore. I watch a lot of cable shows. And yeah, those are all my favorite ones, unless there's some I'm forgetting. Clash of the Gods, the History Channel program, Clash of the Gods. Seen them all. Fucking love those. As well as the History miniseries, 7 Deadly Sins. Fucking love those too. And there are various History Channel specials that I really like. Let's see if there any other shows I'm forgetting. Treme on HBO is another favorite of mine. Entourage ended. Yeah, that's it for the most part. Okay. What was it? Okay, this is coming from Uncle Breezy Bum. He asks, what was it that first attracted you to the anime genre? What attracted me to the anime genre was the fact that I grew up when I was very young, my early adolescence. I was exposed to the American comic books and the animated series. You know, Batman the animated series, Superman the animated series, Spider-Man, X-Men. That's what I was watching when I was like 6 and 7. So by the time I got 9, by the time I got I'd seen Ronin Warriors and I seen Sailor Moon when I was little. Didn't know what it was. By the time I was 9 years old and I first saw DBZ, the thing was, it was something different, and I didn't even know what anime was. I didn't even know it was a genre. I didn't even know that it was Japanese. I didn't know nothing like that. I just knew there was something about this show, being Dragon Ball Z. There was something about this that was different than the superhero cartoons I was used to watching. And I didn't know why, and I didn't know what it was. So after I started watching DBZ, I started watching more shows like it, and then that's when I found out about anime. So that's what happened. That's what attracted me, the fact that it was different. Did I knock out all the questions? I know I'm running on 25 minutes, so actually if I did, okay, this one person asks, how did you go about getting your comic series published? It's not published yet. It's not. That book is currently in the proposal is currently in production now, and we will hopefully have the proposal ready to go by July, it's looking like. So I haven't sent it off yet. Okay. Okay, last question is going to wrap this thing up, and I'm trying to knock this out as quickly as possible. Larry, what do your family think about you pursuing comics and writing? Do they support you, or are they concerned? I'm a musician, my parents support me.